Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ljs Garage. You see the headlamp, you see the Jeep hood popped. It means that it's time to replace the stupid pressure sensor that has been driving me crazy. So, oil pressure sensor is under this intake manifold. It's going to be a pain to get to, but I'm prepared. I'm ready. No alcohol though. Probably would make this easier and better, but we're just going to go for it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this cover, then we're going to pull this guy out. This is really easy. This little cover is held on with nothing, so as you can see, one hand pops that out of the way. So what we're going to do is now we've got to get this air intake out. This one's pretty easy. You're going to go ahead and remove this little hose clamp on the side, and then you've come around on this side. There's going to be an air sensor right here. You're going to disconnect that. Then you're going to have another little hose clamp right back in there. You guys see it right there, and just move those out of the way and we'll get to the next step. And there's a couple ways that you can do this, but the way I'm going to do it is loosen that hose clamp. There's two little releases on this side, bang, bam, pop that up. This guy comes right out. You got a tube right here. You're just gonna wiggle that loose, and then this whole thing will be out of your way. And so this is a quick way. Again, if you just wanna move this, just set it aside. You don't have to worry about it. It's not gonna go anywhere. Good time to check your filter, make sure that's nice and clean. But this snorkel is all held on with just a little kind of adapter like this. It just sits on top of it, so you can just pull it up, and the whole thing will pop out once it's loose. And in order to get this guy loose, what you're going to do is you see this little lock, so it slides on and it locks like that. So you're going to take this little red guy and you're going to slide it towards the car, and once that's loose, then the whole thing will slide out, and you can just set that to the side for now. You're going to notice that you've got this attached to it, and this is actually broken on mine, so it made it really easy. So all I have to do is just get these little zip ties out of the way, and then it's off of that. Now we've got the intake pretty much all pulled out. Now we're going to work on this throttle body. The good thing with the throttle body is the next step is we don't actually have to remove it, we just have to kind of move it out of the way. And in order to remove this, you're going to go ahead and take out these 4 screws right in there. It should be 8mm, but just pop those right out. Alright, now we've got all 4 removed. We're going to just go ahead and slide this out. There is a little gasket back there. You see that hanging on. So this guy can just sit off to the side. We don't have to worry about that for now. But we're going to take this little gasket out, make sure it doesn't fall anywhere. The next thing we're going to tackle is going to be this little tube right here, and it should just wiggle, 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 wiggle. Might need the other hands for this, but this wiggles off the top. And this guy, now that that's popped off, we're just going to take this whole thing. Oh no, I lost the tube. The next thing that we're going to do, there's going to be a connector right here and a connector here. So we're going to disconnect that guy with the little red tab, and then we're going to disconnect this little wire holder right here. As you can see, got those both disconnected. Those are out of the way. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over onto this side, and there's going to be a bracket. There's going to be 2 of these, kind of see right here. This 10mm, and then there's another one right on the back side. We're going to remove those. This next part's kind of hard to explain. If you follow this bracket where you just loosen that 10mm, on the bottom of the bracket there's going to be another one, so there's going to be 2 on the bottom. You just have to loosen them. You don't have to take those all the way out. Alright, so we're back over on this side. We've got this out of the way, but what we're going to do is, if you slide this to the left, you're going to see back here, you're going to have 1 screw right here. You're going to have 1 screw right there, and then there's another one on the back, right behind this hose. Once you get this hose out of the way, and it's hidden back there, but we're gonna get that bracket loose, 10mm, and pop those out. All right, and once you got those out of the way, the fun begins. There's gonna be 7 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 in the back. That's kind of a pain to get to. I haven't figured out how I'm gonna get to that one yet, but go ahead and remove those. Those should be 10 or 8mm. All right, I had to put the camera down because this was getting frustrating, but basically on this left side there's a hose here that I'm pointing to, this guy, and then a hose here. Those are on the back side of the plenum, all of that good stuff, which I've got over here on the floor. I gotta clean this up, but those hoses attach to these sides right here and right here, and then you just pull this whole thing off. Alright, and after that, the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna unplug 1, 2, 3, and we're going to pop these coil plugs out, but just the plugs. And once you get those out the way, then just go ahead and remove this little plastic piece in here and pop that out. And so we can get all this wire loom disconnected. After we do that, the next step is actually pretty easy. These guys right here, if you can see, there's about 8 of these, and they're around the sides of here. We're gonna pull this whole thing up. All right, so it's really difficult to film all this stuff and hold the camera and everything. But once you get everything shimmied, like I said, these 2 brackets right here are your culprits. And then on this back, there's brackets here, and that moves everything out the way. But once you got that, just hook this guy out of the way. You don't have to remove it any further, but that just sits there. And then there are your sensors. We're gonna move this guy out of the way. And then the sensor we actually wanna change, the pressure sensor, is under that one. So my sensor wouldn't come out, but in case you do need to replace this, because this has a little leak, if you look down there, there's a little bit of a puddle. So this is a common place for oil leaks. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take out this whole oil cooler housing, and it's just gonna be a couple down in here. You'll see there's about 4. When I get the new one pulled out, I'll show you where those bolts are exactly. This is the old unit. You're gonna have 1 right there. There's number 2, 3 on the other side right here. Sorry about the focus. And then on the back end, you're gonna have 1 more here, and then 1 more here. And those are gonna be the 5. And when you do go to put them back in, the order you're gonna wanna put them in is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I got everything back in as far as the oil cooler assembly goes. And then now I'm gonna go ahead and change out the gaskets on the intake manifold, which won't be too crazy, but I'll go ahead and knock those out. And then for this part, I'm gonna show you a little diagram that I found on the forums of the tightening sequence. Once you've got it to this point, I mean, spark plugs are pretty easy. I'm gonna knock those out. I'm also gonna go ahead and change out these 6 gaskets, get those out of the way to some nice new ones.